The Galaxy XR looks like it's from the future, but just how much of that future are we ready for? Here is our full review of the Samsung Galaxy XR headset. Welcome back to SamMobile TV. You're here with Daniel. And this review was actually done by Max, our shorts creator, who has had hands-on with the Galaxy XR for an extended period of time. He has completely used this product and put the review together. I'm just here to share it all. The first gen Galaxy XR headset is very impressive in all of the areas that kind of matter the most for something like this. Most especially the display quality and overall software usefulness. As an experience on an XR platform, the Galaxy XR kind of feels more practical than Apple's Vision Pro, simply because it can actually run apps properly, and it doesn't feel like it's missing half of the services that we use day to day. Even though it feels more fleshed out and it feels more ready, it still actually isn't practically ready for the big time yet. It's just because of the fact that the niche use case that this offers doesn't appeal to the wider mass market as yet. If you aren't someone who needs split-screen multitasking, immersive theater experience from sitting on your couch, or a headset-first workflow, then there's really no need for something like this to exist for you, especially at the price. You'll definitely struggle to justify it. In the opinion of us, it kind of is like this interesting first take of something that this could become. Because whilst it's not ready for the masses yet, it gives you a clear pathway distinction of where it's going to be. Myself personally, I can imagine it being really good for businesses. You can imagine someone who wants to work on multiple screens without needing multiple screens. They can take this with them and they get that set up anywhere. One of the things that I think Samsung did really well here with is the measured, patient launch. Knowing that it probably wasn't ready for global market just yet, they went ahead and just launched it in a few different markets, key markets, so they could measure its success, hopefully see where it could go longer term. A lot of that is down to the R&D costs and the manufacturing costs of a first-gen product, and it kind of is reflected in its price point. At $17.99, it's not a cheap product. It's definitely in the premium price point, but it also puts it in a price bracket that makes it more appealing compared to something like the Apple Vision Pro. From a design and build quality point of view, Samsung, I guess, decided on the right areas here because it's not necessarily trying to win a beauty contest or a luxury materials contest. It's looking to be practical and comfortable for long use periods. It's all about the comfort, the balance, and the long session ergonomics that it's been designed for. When I think about myself to Gear VR, I think about the comfort that brought. And again, it wasn't about the materials, it was about how you wear it. The way that this headset sits on your face is the real story here. Rather than putting pressure on your cheeks and kind of making it feel really heavy to wear, it spreads the weight more evenly, so it doesn't kind of feel like you're being clamped down on. It's all designed about actual wear as opposed to having short demos. Because of the fact that you're going to be wearing it for maybe a movie or a long work session in an office, you want to actually make it feel like it's comfortable to wear for that period of time, not just feel good in the shop. One downside is the placement of the adjustment mechanism. It's kind of placed at the back and it's in that spot where you would normally rest your head. So when you're watching a movie or sort of leaning back to get comfortable, it's just going to be in the way. Had they moved it to the side or offered a different placement that doesn't have that problem, it's a much better solution that way. In an effort to reduce weight, it went down the path of an external battery pack, which is understandable, but it's at where the category is right now, it's a noticeable downside. It's a compromise because you're going to have a cable that's always going to be hanging off the thing connected to that external battery pack. It's just that extra step in the process. You need to make sure that battery pack is charged, and if it's not, you need to charge it whilst you're using it, and you're tethered to something. It's an inconvenience, but it's just where it's at right now. But the big hero, the main hero, is the display quality. The micro OLED panels deliver exceptional sharpness and quality that actually make XR headsets functional and usable. Not just usable, beyond usable. You can see text very clearly, and it makes you stop thinking about text clarity because you can just see it, as opposed to thinking about the pixel substrate and the structure. You can just clearly, visibly see things. Because XR shouldn't just be about gaming and entertainment. If you want it to be more than that, it needs to be able to do the other things, and the Galaxy XR absolutely can. There's the optics that also play a really huge role here. Because it has pancake lenses, it gives a sharper experience, and it gives you a better experience for things like multitasking. It just makes the interface feel more natural. And with something like this, that's just what you want. It does offer mixed reality pass-through, where you can actually see your external environment, and it's solid and convincing enough with the right lighting, which, to be honest, is probably where most people will utilize that feature anyway. It's good because you can stay aware of your surroundings. You can see what's around you, and you can even start to place things in the environment around you too, and make it sort of like that mixed reality experience. The illusion breaks when you use it in lower light, but that's to be expected. They are cameras after all, and they literally act like cameras in that environment. That's not really a slight just on Galaxy XR. It's kind of where the industry is at with that technology at the moment. The software is where the XR stands out. Because of the fact it is using Android and it's sort of Samsung partner with Android, it really opens it up because it literally just takes from the already extensive Android app ecosystem and combines it in with whatever software Samsung have made here. There's no need to wait for a whole app ecosystem to be developed because it just taps into what's already there. That for us is the key difference to the Apple Vision Pro's offering. Because of the fact they haven't got that from the ground up, they're building a whole new app ecosystem, then really Samsung and Google kind of already have the advantage here. There's different and multiple ways to input, like track things and move things around with Galaxy XR. The eye tracking is very, very impressive in our time with it so far. It sounds small because obviously your eye tracking, you just move your eyes, but it actually makes such a big difference to the overall experience. You look at what you want to interact with, and it does it. No questions asked. That would be weird if it asked questions. No cursor hunting, no awkward floating pointer. It just does it. Selecting things is really simple too. You just use your finger and your thumb, and it's a lot easier than you might think. Not going to be perfect from day one, but you just train yourself, and before you know it, it becomes second nature. It is part of the setup process to show you the basics, but you need to use it to be able to actually get used to it a lot better. And before you know it, it all becomes consistent and natural. You look at something, then you use your fingers to select it. It's just a real easy flow rather than needing to use a mouse or another input or a controller. It's just eyes, look at it, pinch, you've done it. And then one of the big integrations for Galaxy XR is Gemini. It's not completely magic just yet. It sort of feels just like a tool that you purposely use as opposed to an assistant that works away in the background. It's not a negative just yet. It's just the current reality of AI in general, where you actually have to make a choice to use it as opposed to it working for you in the back end. But all the stuff that you know about Gemini, when you trigger it, it's there and it's very useful. Looking things up when you're inside the headset, getting context of what you can see on the screen, it's all very, very familiar, but it just all makes a lot of sense. Or if you just want to actually change your environment too, Gemini can actually reorganize your apps and everything around you. It kind of makes sense in that environment to be able to talk to an assistant like that because it just, fits the theme of what an XR headset is. It keeps you in the experience. You don't have to open something else up or get out of an app. You just pull it up and talk to it. But it doesn't feel quite natural just yet because it's still that intentional thing you've got to do. It'd be great though if you didn't have to do that in the future, but we'll just see where the direction of AI takes us and how it can integrate in with something like this. Circle to search in here is actually really good too. It's like the way it is on the phone, except here you just look at something, pinch your fingers, circle it, and then AI will sort of search based on what you've circled. And because it's an environment where you're looking at it as opposed to it's on your phone, it feels practical doing it in here. The thing is though, just because it's got this software advantage with all of these apps and all these services available, doesn't automatically turn this into a use case that a consumer can actually be practical with. A lot of the apps that you're using in here were designed for phones and tablets. So you can run them in here, but it won't feel native or natural just yet. And with all of that, it kind of becomes clearer. The Galaxy XR headset, whilst it has this big, massive software advantage, it doesn't necessarily translate into a real world one just yet because I wouldn't say this would be something you'd use on its own. This would work best within a setup that you've already got, an ecosystem of products that this can sort of slot into, and you have the continuity with other Samsung products. Media is a big part of the Galaxy XR headset as well, because obviously, like a tablet, you buy a tablet thinking you're going to smash for productivity and most of the time you end up using it for entertainment. This is similar, but on a different level when you compare it to the Vision Pro, because of the fact that you've got the ecosystem advantage with apps where you can actually tap into more. This just becomes like a personal cinema in a way, which is awesome. The Galaxy XR kind of becomes that perfect first-gen product. It's a lot better than some of the others that Samsung have done, like the Galaxy Fold, where it actually shows you at a high premium level where the future of this can be. The fundamentals have been nailed. The display quality is perfect, and it's got an app ecosystem larger than its main competitor. Even with that advantage, even with all of those first steps that kind of put it out there as the main option or the best option, it still doesn't mean it's got the consumer base yet. It's a product looking for a solution that hasn't been asked for just yet. It's kind of like the future was mapped out for us years and years ago, where we'll all be wearing headsets. but the actual reality hasn't caught up to that yet. It seems like companies are forcing this on people before they're even ready or before it's even ready itself. It could just be that this right now will be in a B2B space until it becomes sleeker, more integrated, and easier to use. And then from there, who knows where we could go. That's our review of the Galaxy XR headset. Make sure you hit subscribe to SamMobile TV and go read all about Galaxy XR on our website as well. And find us on all our socials. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.